Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that came out in the New York Daily News, November 20th, 2018. Jamel Roberson, Philando Castile, and society's problematic views of black men with guns. Look, let's face it, black men are the most feared without a gun. Okay? Let's face it, there is no man's strength that can physically match that of a black man. And this is why when you notice men of other races, they always got to come after a black man in packs because they are that scared to take him on one. They come in packs. So when they try to say a black man ain't this, a black man ain't that, obviously he must be something. If you got to come in a whole gang and herds of people after one black man, that tells me you're weak. So, I don't listen to people that come at people like that and then claim you're strong. You're not strong, you're weak. So he's feared with or without a weapon. But Jamel is one of many legal gun owners in this country that have been killed by the police. And that's because the police are trained to just attack on the spot when they see us. And they react just like that. They still act like the old slave patrol. And they never will stop acting like that, ladies and gentlemen. Just understand this is their mindset. This is something that's been carried down through the generations, and they're not about to let it go now. And largely because we have not put consequences on them. And there's many ways we can put consequences on police officers and hold them accountable without going in the streets and protesting or doing really anything out of the ordinary. But let's get into this story. Jamel Roberson was a good guy with a gun, and the police shot him. Yes, they did. They killed him. And they still won't release the name of the officer that shot him. You know, ladies and gentlemen, and we know he's going to get away with it because, America's system is very rigged. So it will always be rigged in the favor of a cop, whether the cop is right or wrong. And in many occasions, we see they are definitely more wrong than right in these situations of the shootings. And they keep trying to act like because they've shot a black person that what they've done is justified. No, what you've done is evil. And it's predicated on a biased attitude that you already have going into that job. The black security guard's death reflect the racial limitations on the right to bear arms, activists say. Far too often, critics contend the protections afforded to gun owners haven't applied to people of color. You mean black people. No more of that people of color. Okay, no, we can't be lumped in. Let me just explain. We cannot be lumped in with others. They have not lived in America in the same manner that we have lived in America. So no more of this people of color. Okay, and they're only using that, ladies and gentlemen, to give preferential treatment over others, okay, that are not black. And just look at the businesses in black communities. They're all owned by non-black people, but they will classify them as people of color. Of course, until, the census time, then everybody's white. All of those same people that they're classifying as people of color will all of a sudden become white on the US Census. You see that it's so many trickeries and games going on in this system. It's not even funny. Now, they'll tell you a Mexican is a person of color, but then when census time come, they're white. They'll tell you, I mean, I've even seen this, I've seen a Cuban guy on my job getting promotions, but the black people that were there much longer than him didn't get promotions, but they said, well, it counts as a person of color. You see what I mean? But then when census time comes, he's classified as white. It's a lot of crazy mess going on. But this is what they do. All of these people they got classified as people of color on the US Census. Many of them are classified as white. Now, what kind of garbage is that? It's just another way of keeping opportunities away from the ones they classify as African Americans and getting around it by giving to others that got some melanin in their skin and then justifying it as a person of color. This whole system is so messed up, it's not even funny. And it's not surprising that Jamel Roberson is dead because of the mindset of these people. But no, this is the lack of protection given to Black people that are gun owners. It's not no damn people of color. All right, so the 26-year-old was apprehending a gunman who opened fire at a Chicago area bar when he was shot and killed by a responding officer. And that should never, ever happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it shouldn't happen. But unfortunately, we're in this wicked society. So it will continue to happen because these folks are just evil and they operate on evil. State police said that Roberson was given multiple commands to drop the weapon, but witnesses are saying otherwise. Okay, the witnesses that were there give a whole different scenario. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? You ever notice that's a consistent thing? The cops will give one account and the people on the scene gives a whole different account. And we have seen the cop give one account and the account that the cop give don't match the video. We've seen that too. Oh boy, only in this wicked place. Anthony C. Thompson, professor of clinical law at New York University School of Law, says incidents involving police and unarmed Black men continue to propagate the notion that Black America and white America have a very different approach to law enforcement. No, what happened to him is actually historic. You can go back to history in the slave catching days, and the same thing that happened in the slave catching days, ladies and gentlemen, is happening today. It's not different. I mean, if you want to be seen different, then you should do things differently, but you don't. Robeson's shooting is at odds with the theory pushed by Trump and gun right groups such as the NRA that good guys with guns can reduce violence. No, what guns do, especially in the hands of people that are evil, it emboldens them. It makes them feel like if they use that gun, they are untouchable. And the judges in court and juries that let them off, They are enablers of that. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Those guns will turn around on them. Notice that most of the police shooters in America are white males, just like we know they are the mass shooters. Now, I got to go back and see how many mass shootings there are up until now, because the last time I looked, it was 307 mass shootings in 311 days. That's the real America. Okay. All right. So the president of the United States says the only way to stop a mass shooting is to have an armed security guard. Activist Eric Russell said at a rally following Roberson's death, but I guess what he meant, as long as the armed security guard is not black. He's right. Being black in America gets you murdered by cops, even when you're the good guy with a gun. Waiting to hear the NRA response. Don't hold your breath. And y'all stop bringing up the NRA every time there is a shooting in the black community. You should know by now, the NRA is just a white supremacist organization. So why would they come forward and say anything when black people get killed? And I'm getting tired of every time one of us get killed, somebody is always bringing up the damn NRA. Give it a break. Give it a rest. Let it go. How many times do they have to show you they don't give a damn about us? They have showed you over and over and over. It is a white supremacist organization. Accept it. Move on. Stop bringing up the NRA every time black men and women get shot. They don't care. And you bringing them up is not going to make them care. They don't care. Please accept it. I do. I don't make videos talking about where the hell is the NRA. They don't give a shit about us. And I don't give a shit about them either. In fact, I made a video coming out against them. I don't give a damn about them. The feeling is mutual. Moving on. Clayton Kramer, a historian who has spent decades researching the racism surrounding gun laws, and an adjacent professor for the College of Western Idaho, says racism has always been at the core of gun control laws. Many gun laws were originally put in place more than a century ago to keep blacks and Hispanic. No, it was to keep blacks in their place. And to prevent a backlash from slaves or free blacks. And that was really the reason why gun control laws were put in place. It was for slaves and free blacks. It was not for no other reason. It certainly wasn't for no blacks and Hispanics. It was for blacks and blacks only. Period. That's why gun laws exist today. Kramer wrote in his 1993 text. In one example from Tennessee, Kramer wrote, officials were so fearful of armed blacks in 1834 that they changed an article in the state constitution that the freedmen of the state have a right to keep and to bear arms for their common defense, to that the free white men of this state have the right to keep and to bear arms for their common defense. See, the gun laws, ladies and gentlemen, were always for us and no one else. And see, when you write a law like that, you intend for white men to use guns on black people. I'm sorry, but that's all it is. You're saying that the free white men of this state have the right to keep and to bear arms for their common defense. Well, common defense can be anything. A common defense can be you got scared because some black person walked past you. So you use lethal force because you, oh, just like when they sit in your face, I feel uncomfortable. Well, that's your problem. If you feel uncomfortable, go somewhere where you're not uncomfortable. But I don't believe one person should shake up the entire atmosphere because they got some uncomfortable feeling. Well, then go somewhere where you're not uncomfortable. But see, that's not how they do things. They still handle things, ladies and gentlemen, as if we're still in Jim Crow. If the white person is uncomfortable, then the black person need to do something about that and not make that white person get out of here. They still trying to treat us like it's Jim Crow. Following the Civil War, African Americans tried to carry weapons to defend themselves, leading many white-run governments to push laws that would rid blacks of their right to bear arms. And ladies and gentlemen, they still don't want us armed. They want us all unarmed while they are armed and and then always trying to have that leverage over the black community. Well, we got guns. We got guns. Like, we gonna keep you in check. We got, that's how they want it. They have an issue with black people having guns, even to this day. But see, ladies and gentlemen, that is their problem. That's their problem. Don't ever take on the burden because they feel uncomfortable about something. Then they need to get over themselves. It is not your responsibility, black men and women, to make white people feel comfortable. That is not our responsibility. And it never been our responsibility. So when they don't feel comfortable, that's their problem. And that's exactly what you should be telling them. It is not up to you to fix that. Period. After 2016 shooting of Philando Castile, a black man who was killed during a traffic stop in Minnesota after he calmly told an officer he had a gun, the NRA declined to address the shooting for nearly a year, despite the fact that Castile was doing nothing wrong. The officer fired 7 shots after he believed Castile was reaching for his gun. In fact, Castile was attempting to grab his wallet. In 2017, a letter addressed to NRA CEO, I don't care. I don't care about a letter to the NRA. I really don't. And again, I wish I would just stop doing that. The black community, we don't need the NRA. We don't need them. Let white people keep the NRA. Let them have it completely. We don't need the NRA. If you want, we can organize and have our own, gun organizations. We don't need the NRA. We don't need them. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you are a legal gun carrier or you got one illegally. We are going to be treated the same. A legal black gun owner is treated the same as a black man or woman with one illegally. It doesn't matter. They treat us the same regardless. You are black first in their eyes. and all of your documentation that you have on you, that's secondary. It may not even be considered at all, and it's not if people are ending up dead. So the bottom line is it doesn't matter if a Black person is a legal or illegal gun holder in this country, you will always be treated the same. They treat us all like criminals. Even Black people that never been in trouble with the law, they treat us all like criminals. Always know when a cop encounters a Black person in this country, you can have a squeaky clean background. In his eyes, you are a criminal. Just like slave catching days, you're an incorrigible slave that ran away from the plantation. It doesn't matter what the reason was. It doesn't matter if you were abused or mistreated or you just wanted to be free. They didn't give a damn. They are taught to disregard how we feel about anything. And that's exactly how they act towards us. They even act that way towards us on YouTube. Look at the responses that come from them. They don't care how you feel. I don't go in comment sections trying to explain how I feel to them. Because we already see they don't care. So therefore, I don't care enough to respond to them. And I just erase their shit and keep it moving. At times, I don't even know why they're still wasting their time writing me, but many of them still do. And they know those comments aren't going to see the light of day. They never do. But here they come writing. That's just the way it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, the way I see it, I will consider their feelings when they consider mine. And I know they never will. So I have nothing to worry about. We are in more danger when the officer shows up. That's when our lives are really in danger, ladies and gentlemen. They got so many on the force that have been infiltrated by all of these white nationalists and Klan and everything else. You don't know what you're going to get when they show up. But that's all I really have to say. May Jamel Roberson rest in peace. This brother shouldn't be gone. He should be here enjoying his son, his family, and living his life. But we live in a society that's never going to let us live in peace. And they show you this every day. They even show you on YouTube. They're never going to let you enjoy your life. Please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.